Hi guys, welcome to Watch Hobbyist channel. So today I've got for you the watch that I kind of revealed in my last video. If you haven't watched my previous video where I sort of did a long-winded reveal of this watch, then you can watch that. If you subscribe to my channel as well, that's great because you will be alerted to new videos. And also if you check out my Instagram, it's instagram.com/watchhobbyist. That's all one word, 2 H's in the middle. You'll see what's up and coming on my reviews. But the watch in question is the CK2998. It was announced this year at Baselworld 2016 and it actually seemed to really appeal to a lot of people. You know, when a watch like this comes out, it's an homage to an original watch. You'll always get the purists, you know, detracting from certain aspects of it. For example, they've kept a sapphire crystal. It has an 1861 movement, blah blah blah, which we'll get into. And also, obviously, the major elephant in the room is that it's blue instead of black, things like that. But the way I see it is that these vintage watches, I've had them, they're very nice things. They feel generally very fragile, and I've kind of sort of moved away from vintage quite a lot in the past few months because wearing them sometimes they just feel a bit too dainty. This is a nice modern reincarnation of a watch that has very similar looks to the original, but modernizes it. That's all it is. You know, just like you see in other markets with cars where they're coming out with names that are the same as the original cars, but they look nothing like the modern ones look nothing like the originals. You know, at least this does have some kind of look to the original. It doesn't have a bracelet. It has a leather strap, which I'll also talk about shortly. But for me, in 2016, this is a really, really nice piece. So the first thing that strikes you about this watch when you take it out of the box, you put it on your wrist, is just how sturdy it feels. It feels great. You've got sapphire crystal, you've got a ceramic bezel which actually has lumen over for all the markers and numbers and writing in there, so that glows at night. The case, it's strong, it's stainless steel. Everything just feels really, really good. It's got the nice screw down case back with a really strong relief to it, which you know, shows all the hippocampus and things like that. Everything just looks really, really, really good on it, to be honest. The case itself is 39.7mm as well, which is really, really nice for a watch in 2016. For it to have a nice, smallish sort of case like that, couldn't be happier, because quite often they'll release big cases thinking that that's what everybody wants, but really most people can't wear those. So you know, this is nice. It's going to be fine on a large wrist, a relatively small wrist like mine, 6.75 inches, but the case is just a nice size. Height wise, it's 14.37mm, so it's also not very thick, and length wise it's less than 50mm. So everything proportion wise is really, really nice. It sits on a wrist even as small as mine really, really easily and nicely. It's a lovely thing to have. Water resistance of the case is 50 meters, so I personally would probably go swimming with a watch that's rated at 50 meters, but of course you have the leather strap as standard, so I don't personally say take a leather strap in the sea or in the swimming pool, and I'm certainly not going to give you the advice that you should take this watch swimming. That is totally your choice. But if I was going to do it, I would probably put this watch on something like a NATO strap. I think it would suit that really well, something like a blue NATO. I think that would look really, really good. The watch actually has inside it the 1861 movement. So like I said before, that's not one for the purists. The original models, the CK2998 originally, will have had a 321 caliber movement, which is a fantastic movement. It's been to the moon and back. You know, it's been pretty much tested to the ultimate extremes. It's a very, very good movement. That then, around the 70s, became the 861, and then from the 861 we now have the 1861. Now the 1861 has been around for many, many years, long time, and there's still people that dislike it because it replaces the old movements, but all I ever see from it is how strong it is, how reliable it is. But the thing is, with all these Speedmaster movements, actual accuracy does sometimes suffer. And the reason, in my opinion, for that is because of the beat rate. So 21,600 beats per hour, that's a 3 Hz movement. It's not hugely fast. Usually the faster the movement is, the more accurate it is. But It still has a nice power reserve of 48 hours, which is great, so you get a good 2 days out of the watch. But obviously it's a manual wind, so don't be thinking you can just whack it on your wrist, go around for a week without winding it up, because you do. And that is one really nice thing that a lot of people like about Speedmasters. Now, there'll be a lot of people that don't like it, but for me personally, I think it's nice to interact with something. I notice when I wear automatics for a good few days in a row that sometimes I look at the time occasionally. I don't ever interact with the watch. You know, it's sort of just a thing that ends up on your wrist. With a manual wind watch, at least every day pretty much, I tend to wind them up, and you have to sort of spend a good few seconds just winding it up, looking at it. It's nice. It's a nice process, you know. Hopefully you're not rushing about so much that you can't find 10 or 20 seconds in your day just to wind your watch up, and it will keep going then for another 2 days. But I would always suggest with a 2-day power reserve, probably wind it sort of once a day, because then you're going to keep the torque in the movement and hopefully keep the accuracy as strong as possible, basically. The nice thing about this movement, or certainly the aesthetics of the hand, should I say, to do with the movement, are that you can see the hand going round actually has a lollipop section to it. So that is basically what was on the original model CK2998 from 1959. So we have a feature there that sort of harks back to the original. I think the actual circle is in ever so slightly a different location, but actually what they've managed to do is when the lollipop gets to 12, so when you reset the chronograph basically and it stays at 12, it's just under the 2 dots at 12, and it kind of looks a little bit like Mickey Mouse. I don't know if that was intentional, but we now have Mickey Mouse following on from the Snoopy of last year. I think it's just a nice little feature. I don't know if it's actually intentional or not, like I say, but it's just worked out that way, and I quite like it. You also have the alpha hands, which are the design of the hands that were on the CK2998 originally. You have the same sort of shape to the hands on the hour hand, the minute hand, and also the sub-dial hands. The chapter ring that goes around the dial is blue, as are the sub-dials, as are the strap, as are the bezel. You know, everything is basically a blue theme to this watch. And again, some of the purists have moaned that, you know, they got the lollipop, they got everything right, but then they made it blue. But in my opinion, you know, that's fine, because first of all, it's a really nice blue in my opinion. And a couple of people I've shown it to, they've also agreed it's a really lovely shade of blue. It's not too bright, it's not too dark, and it kind of changes colour a little bit in different lights. Right now it looks very, very dark, it looks quite almost black, but when I looked at it in the sun earlier, it looked like a really nice sort of shade of blue. So, you know, it does change colour. It's a lovely, lovely hue, in my opinion. I think it works really, really well. You also have the applied Amiga logo, and that sits on the silver dial, which, you know, it's not white, it's silver, and it looks great. And what that also does is it gives really good contrast of the dial. You've got these sort of blue sub-dials going on a silver background, and that works really well. You may know that there's a first Amiga in space, which is actually pretty much the same watch, only it has a brown strap and all the details are black instead of blue. It also doesn't have a ceramic bezel, and it doesn't have the lollipop seconds hand that you see going round. But the problem that I found when I owned one of those a couple of years ago was that I loved the watch, I loved the size of it, everything about it was really, really nice. However, the thing that kind of disappointed me was that the gloss black of the dial just really stopped the legibility, and there was no contrast really going on. The whole dial was black. And because there wasn't a plexiglass involved, because you've got this sapphire crystal, which does generally, you know, sapphire generally reflects a lot more than plexi. Unfortunately, it annoyed me, and there was times where I had to really sort of angle my wrist to be able to see in strong lighting conditions, you know, to read the time, which, you know, is the primary function of a watch. This one is totally different, I'm pleased to say. I can really read the time on it. You know, I think it's absolutely great for that. You know, it's nice and legible. Luminescence is not amazing. So at first it's very, very strong. It's like a green colour as well that they've done, but it does tend to fade off quite quickly. But that's only probably because there's actually not that much surface area for the lume. And it's nice that they've put the lume on the tachymeter bezel. I think that's really good, because it kind of brings it out as a feature rather than something that's just there as a, you know, just on the watch. it's now actually a feature. As soon as you come into a dark area, you know, you've been in light circumstances, you really notice the bezel more than you notice anything else, and it looks fantastic. I think it's really a clever design feature that is put on there. So the strap that they've included is like a sort of alligator leather strap, I think. It's very nice. The only thing I wish they would have done is actually put a like a deployant clasp on there, because actually what you do have is you have a just a tang buckle, basically. So it's not a deal breaker, it's just that it would have been nice to have a deployant clasp because of A, the price of the watch. It certainly warrants it, and B, it tends to prolong the life of a leather strap because you're not sort of sliding it on and off, and it's not you know, the buckle isn't going through the holes of the actual strap and sort of pulling on there. So, you know, for various reasons, it's actually really beneficial to have a deployant clasp. So it's a little bit of a shame. They could have done that, in my opinion, but they didn't do. And hey ho, it's not the end of the world. So it's nice that they've now got this model. They have the first Amiga in space, which is the black one I've just spoken about. And there is also a rose gold version that they did a couple of years ago, which has sort of brown details, and that again works really nicely. And I don't think that has a deployant either. So, you know, I think it's just this range of watches, that's how it is. You get this watch, you get that strap, and you get that clasp. That's how it is in it. You just choose your colour. In terms of limited edition, which the box actually states in this case, it's the same box as the first Amiga in space, but this box actually states limited edition. You probably can't see it, but it's just above the watch on the back panel of the case. I'll show you a picture. However, the box is the same, but like I say, it just says limited edition. But 2,998 pieces. When this first was announced, I saw people really complaining that it's too many. That's not limited, blah, 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 blah. Well, I personally think that it's a good number. The reason is, first of all, how many people missed out on the Snoopy. Now, I know it's a first world problem to miss out on a limited edition watch, but they soon started hitting the market and the prices were going crazy. And the problem is that a lot of people sort of lost a lot of love for Amiga in that process because they couldn't get their hands on the watch that they really wanted. A lot of people I know who have many Amigas and have really been loyal to the brand just happened to miss out on actually purchasing one, and it just created a bit of bitterness. At least with this watch, if you want the Speedmaster, if you want to go out there and buy this watch, you had a much greater chance of being able to get one. I don't know if you still can. Maybe you can still get hold of these now, but you know, a lot of them did sell very quickly, and I think that was kind of a little bit the Snoopy effect, because people were, I guess in some ways, worried that they would want this watch and couldn't get their hands on it, so they sort of sold out really very quickly. I know one major brand of store here in the UK was only allocated 9 of these watches in the whole country, and I think I rang up a couple of days after Basel and they said, yeah, we've had 3 people ring up and they've ordered one, they've put a deposit on one. And then I rang back about a week later and all the rest had gone. So, you know, they were certainly a quick seller, but this watch, I actually put my deposit down around about, I think it's around about 6 or 8 weeks ago from this point now, which is August in 2016. So, you know, there were some still flying around. I don't know what the production process is going to be, because I know with the Snoopy it was very long and laboured, and apparently they're still producing them now because there was actually an issue with some of the silver casebacks, which caused them to have to sort of really slow the process down of producing them. I don't know if it's the same with this, if they're going to sort of take it over a long period, or if they're all going to just all come through very quickly. But it's a great watch. I can't recommend it enough to people. You know, if you want sort of a more unique type of Speedmaster, one that's not too big, that's going to sit on your wrist nicely, comes in a nice packaging, a nice quality of strap. You know, the strap actually has sort of a black lining underneath, beige stitching to it. It's 50 meters water resistant, so like I say, you can theoretically go swimming with it, but I wouldn't do it with this particular strap because you probably will ruin it. But overall, it's just a really lovely piece. So I wanted to show you this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. This was a watch that I anticipated quite a lot, because when I did get to put my deposit down on it, then I really got quite excited and I really did want it. And I'm glad I've gone for it as well. It was a really nice process buying it, as I said in my last video, with David M. Robinson the Jewelers. I think they're a great company. And one thing to note is that this watch is of the Amiga range that comes with a 2-year warranty. I know some of them now come, I think, with 4 or so years, but this comes with a 2-year warranty. I bought mine through David M. Robinson, like I say, so I actually get a 3-year warranty because they extend that by 1 year, which is always a nice thing. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, I hope you've enjoyed the review, I hope you like the watch. Please check out my Instagram, which is instagram.com/watchhobbyist. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I will be bringing more and more videos. Recently I've been picking up some nice pieces that I can review, that I can show you guys. And I know a lot of people also keep asking for a state of the collection, but I tend not to do things like that, because you've seen that this video has gone on over 15 minutes already, and can you imagine how long it would take me to do a state of the collection? So I'm probably not going to go there, but I hope you enjoy my videos, and I'll see you again soon.